HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnett.
Let's go!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Josh Hinnett.
It's a Friday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and yes, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. Oh man, the Phillies are back after a day off, back against the Cardinals tonight. Don't forget, Phillies are on Sunday baseball here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. on Sunday evening. Plus, Eagles OTAs are continuing, and we'll get into the latest around the NFL. Andy McNamara is back on the show tonight. We'll get into the latest with the Eagles. And also, I was listening to a conversation from Andrew Brandt this morning, and he was getting into about the Jalen Waddle contract and how Jalen Waddle, and not just Waddle, by the way, it's Jalen Waddle and other wide receivers are getting their contracts done, but some of the big names are not getting their contracts done. We'll get into the relevance of all that coming up with Andy in about 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 in your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. But I got to start with the Phillies because they are getting back from this road trip, and they have a very, very interesting month on tap. Today being the last day of May. I know June is usually what they call hitting season. I know it's usually the hottest month of the year for Kyle Schwarber. But the whole team is going to have a very interesting stretch of games. And to me, it's going to be very important for them to get through this homestand and get some wins because they are going to be on again, off again on the road. Remember, those home games coming up, those quote-unquote home games against the Mets, they're in London. Then they come back to America. Literally, they're traveling out of the country, coming back across the ocean, and they got to go back on the road still. A week later, they're in Baltimore. They got the Red Sox. They are on a roller coaster ride this next month, and it's going to be understandable that you're not probably going to win all of these games away from Citizens Bank Park. So to me, I look at these two series against the Cardinals and against the Brewers coming up as very important to set the groundwork. So if you do have a slip up on the road, right? If things don't go exactly as planned on this road trip, you'll be okay. And since we have really no idea how soon Trey Turner's coming back, he's at least a couple more weeks away at minimum. You can't expect him to come back and fix things. So this is the time to get your lineup figured out, get your everything, get your affairs in order, we'll call it, and make sure that you take care of business against a 500 Cardinals team and a good but not great Milwaukee Brewers team. And I'm not going to act like beating these two teams is going to be a walk in the park either, because the Cardinals are a team that has been inconsistent this year. And tomorrow they got to face a guy in Sonny Gray who has a 2.6 ERA. So you got a very good pitching matchup tomorrow. Suarez versus Gray on national television, by the way, 7:15 pitch tomorrow night. And then Sunday Night Baseball, you got to finish the job. So even if you win the game tonight and you lose the game tomorrow, I'm just throwing out there a scenario, you got to win on Sunday. You got to get 2 out of 3 again in each of these series, because that way when you hit the road to London, to Boston, to Baltimore, you don't come back on June 17th battered and bruised and letting all the other teams catch up to you. Now, I know it's easier said than done. I know some of you out there listening on 97.3 ESPN FM or flipping on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I know you guys are saying, well, Josh, is it really that simple? Because of the way this offense has been inconsistent, but isn't that part of baseball? I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm going to dismiss it because I am the first person to question this offense at times. But I will say that if the whole team can get to a point where they get back to finding ways to win instead of finding ways to strike out at times, they're going to be fine. But it all starts here and right now. It all starts right here against the Cardinals and against the Brewers. And by the way, the news came out today that Rhys Hoskins will be in the lineup next week for the Brewers. So Philly fans will be able to acknowledge Rhys as he's returned from his injury in Milwaukee. Rhys had a really good start to the year, and then he had that injury that he sustained. So it will be interesting to see how do the Philly fans respond to Rhys Hoskins' return. I'm expecting a standing ovation of some capacity. I don't know if there will be some crazy, video montage or something, but I do genuinely believe that Hoskins will be recognized by the organization and will be recognized by the fans when he returns next week. Look, as long as Hoskins doesn't help the Brewers win any games against you, it's fine. But if he does help them win a game, it's not going to go over too well. Hoskins, he did open the year pretty hot before the hamstring injury that he sustained. I think it was, I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. I know it was before May 17th. So he sustained that hamstring injury. Tonight's the first game he is going to be back. And look, he hit 9 home runs with a 233 batting average so far this year for the Brewers. So he has been productive. So it'll be interesting to see how he's accepted, how that impacts the series with Milwaukee. So when it comes to the offense for the current Phillies, though, I was saying it earlier to Mike Gill on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. I was saying that for the Phillies, I have concerns that where we saw this team struggle during the 3-game losing streak was a little too similar to how this team struggled in the playoffs the last 2 years. When they lost that series to the Houston Astros in the World Series, and then when they lost the NLCS last year to the Diamondbacks, it was because the offense disappeared. It went silent. And it seems to be a very inconvenient truth for this team. It's a fact that I think a lot of people don't want to talk about. They don't want to think about. They don't want to look at, because at the end of the day, when you look at this team, it doesn't matter if the pitching staff is one of the best in baseball. It doesn't matter how low their ERA is. It doesn't matter they have 4 bona fide starters and a 5th guy who's solid. If the offense doesn't score runs, you're not winning games. I'll never forget how many times when Roy Halladay would start games in the postseason, that the Phillies just couldn't get the job done. People overlooked that when the Phillies had that monster season, 102 wins, you had Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels had these monster regular seasons. Well, when they got to the playoffs, against the Cardinals, the offense did pretty much seemingly nothing except for one game. the Phillies had, quote unquote, the best pitching staff in baseball. And yet they lose a 1-0 game with Roy Halladay on the mound. They let Edwin Jackson slow them down in 2011. I mean, they could not win when they were supposed to, except for one game. And it goes to show you that Philly fans have a reason to be frustrated and concerned with Nick Castellanos and Brandon Marsh and Whit Merrifield and Johan Rojas and Christian Pache, because your outfielders are not producing at a level that makes you comfortable with the idea that if you head into the postseason, that you have the offense that is balanced enough that will allow you to overcome if a pitcher has a bad day, or if part of your lineup is cold, and the other part will pick them up. When the Phillies started the month 17-3, when they were having the hot month of April, right? They were a team that was finding ways to win, and they were doing it by guys picking each other up, guys stepping up when they needed them most. If Harper was having a down game, or Schwarber wasn't hitting the ball, or when Trey Turner got injured, other guys stepped up. And so moving forward, if you're the Phillies, you absolutely have to make sure that you are 100% comfortable with this lineup. Because I know I'm not. And if I don't see some significant progress and improvement from Castellanos, Whit Merrifield, and Rojas and Pache, they got to go get somebody. They got to get a right-handed bat. I don't know if it's Matt Canna. I don't know if it's Matt Vierling. I don't know who it is. But they got to go out there and get a right-handed bat that is going to be able to come in here and get significant playing time and not be a negative against this team. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. By the way, Jeff from Ocean City wants to remind me that I need to put my sunscreen on before going to the beach tomorrow. For those who didn't hear, we had a whole thing about sunscreen and when to put it on and where you put it on a couple of days ago. That was a fun conversation. I'm still laughing at the people who have been texting me this week, the sunscreen they use. That's been a funny set of texts to get as well. Over to the Eagles. Before we bring on Andy McNamara to talk more about the NFL, one of the takeaways this week that I personally had from Eagles OTAs is, I know the one audio cut of Nolan Smith is getting a lot of play and it's getting a lot of people hyped up like, yeah, this guy is ready to play. Personally, I don't really care what he said in that cut because, I mean, he was asked a question, he answered the best he could. But there was something else that Smith said about why he thinks that he will be ready to play this year. And I thought it was a very eye-opening comment because I think we learned two very important things about this Eagles team moving forward from Nolan Smith. I think it kind of opens the door for a lot of our conversation because, you know, I think a lot of people are worried about, you know, what is the state of this team, the leadership, the defense, so on and so forth. And so I wanted you guys to hear what Nolan Smith said, because I thought it was very eye-opening about the state of this team and the leadership and why guys are so confident. Look, I've already played for you guys the audio of guys like Jalen Carter and others talking about how much they love Vic Fangio. But here's another side of the conversation I think that's gotten ignored a little bit. Take a listen.
I feel like just that year I turned the corner, just me, and just watching the game and just studying. You know, it's a learning curve. A lot of people think you're supposed to come in the league and dominate and do all of this and that. And I got the same dreams and hopes that everybody had for me else. I want to get, 10 plus sacks and do all of that. But realistically, it's a learning curve. These guys been in here 15 years. These guys been in here a long time. And I say praise to Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson taught me everything from getting my toes right to how I work, what I'm looking for in the tackle, and just different things like that.
Incredible insight right there. He said two things that are very important. One, he said, look, I want the same thing the fans do. He says, I want to go out there and be great and get all these sacks. But he says, there's a learning curve with this. And he's 100% right. We forget that these players are still human beings. And it's not as easy as we try to act like it is for these guys to go out there and be successful as rookies. Other side of it, he says, I have to thank Lane Johnson for my confidence coming into this year. Because he said, Lane Johnson taught me how to point my toes in the right direction, how to get off the line. He's saying that one of this team's leaders now, moving forward, no Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey moving forward. It's Lane Johnson starting to take the young guys under his wing and say, hey, young guy, let me show you how to do this. This could be a big year, and we might have to thank Lane Johnson for it when the Eagles make a deep playoff run this year. Because if Nolan Smith goes out there and has an impact this year, that changes a lot of the dynamics for this defense. All right, coming up next, we'll get more into the NFL. Andy McNamara joins us, host of the Sick Podcast, NFL podcaster and host, joins me next here. Josh Hennick hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN Radio. Let's go.
And Goldschmidt has done it again.
Paul Goldschmidt and the St. Louis Cardinals storm into Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia to go head-to-head with Bryce Harper and the Phillies.
Harper racing around third. His helmet is off. He slides. He's safe.
The Cardinals at the Phillies on Sunday Night Baseball. Coverage begins at 6 Eastern with first pitch at 7 Eastern. It's Phillies baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Do you have a job? Do you have $199? Do you want a brand new Nissan?
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Then drive home in your new Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV for only $199 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $29.99 due. That's a brand new 24 Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV that gets up to 39 miles per gallon for only $199 per month. And don't forget the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy only at Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RY229097 and RN330138. Sentra. Lease selling price $25,509. Ultimate lease selling price $27,829. Offer ends 6/5/2024. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains from May 24th through June 3rd. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Phillies or Eagles? Good Friday afternoon. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Phillies off to a scorching hot start and the Eagles in the midst of OTAs and upcoming minicamp, which team do you have more faith in, the Phillies or the Eagles? Let us know by texting in at 609-403 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. I'm going to go with the Phillies due to the fact they have the best record in baseball, been extremely consistent, and have the top pitching staff in all of the major leagues. When you have Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Aaron Nola in the mix for a Cy Young, that means you probably can go pretty far with some really good pitching into the postseason. Once again, the question is, which team do you have more faith in, the Phillies or Eagles? Text in at 609-403-0973.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included with the activation of a Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Requires in-store activation. Device offer ends 6/9/24. Taxes and fees apply.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Diving into June this weekend, and we're talking about increasing temperatures, increasing clouds, and the return of humidity and showers eventually. No problems for you tonight. Clear, calm, and cool, low 56. Beautiful sunshine again tomorrow, a little bit warmer with a high of 80. 82 and more humid on Sunday, going from sun to clouds. Watch for scattered showers late day Sunday, probably at night. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hello, I'm Chief Joe Fussner of the Ventnor City Police Department. Did you know that the period between Memorial Day and Labor Day is considered the busiest and most dangerous travel time of the year? In New Jersey, fatal crashes, alcohol-related crashes, and young driver crashes all occur at higher rates during the summer season. Protect yourself and your passengers by wearing seatbelts every trip, both day and night. Your seatbelt is the single most effective way to reduce serious injuries, and it increases your chances of surviving a motor vehicle crash by as much as 45%. Law enforcement agencies across Atlantic County will be providing increased safety enforcement by joining the statewide Click It or Ticket campaign. Wearing your seatbelt is the law. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, you will get a ticket. Please do your part to keep our roadways safe by obeying traffic safety laws and practicing safe driving habits. The most important partner in our effort to prevent crashes and save lives is you. This message is brought to you by the Atlantic County Office of Highway Traffic Safety and the Ventnor City Police Department.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We'll check back at the text board. Andrew in Summers Point and George from Summers Point. Two people in the same town texting. And what is up with that? We should be joined right now, as promised. Andy McNamara is the host of the Sick Podcast and covers the NFL and fantasy football year-round, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, my friend, welcome back. How you doing today?
Good, Josh. Good, buddy. How are you?
Doing well. So I wanted to start with this because I was hitting on this a little bit before I went to the commercial break. You know, there's a lot of people who have some consternation about this Eagles team because the last thing they saw was a bad football team, right?
Yeah.
And I've been saying throughout the day today, I think it's completely unfair because what you're basically saying is that all the moves they made, the coordinator changes, everything out there, you're just ignoring all of it. You're saying that it doesn't matter. And people don't want to hear that, Andy, because the reality is that some people just hold so tightly to their beliefs. It's like politics, right? You know, no matter what you say or do, it's like, nope, I can't take the idea that Nick Sirianni is a winning coach. Nope, I can't accept that Jalen Hurts is the top 10 quarterback. Nope, I can't accept that Vic Fangio knows how to coach football. It's like these people, they're such Debbie Downers, man.
I know. It kills me because are you really a fan of your team if you're more interested in your opinion being correct than the team's success? We can argue all day about our favorite teams, what player is going to be good or not. Ultimately, if you're a fan, you should, if you believe something negative, you should be praying to be wrong. You should be thrilled to be incorrect. I have lots of thoughts of, boy, wonder if this is going to happen. Hope it doesn't. And if I'm right, if I'm wrong, great. If the team wins, you should be thrilled that the team wins. Not, oh, I'm making my notes down. I'm going to mark it down on X and do a callback. And like, oh, I told you Devonta Smith wasn't going to catch 60 passes this year. Who cares? Then you're not a fan. Then you're a hater. Then get the hell out of here. I'm not interested in what you're saying.
And it's funny you said that because, you know, it's the idea that like people look at sometimes players and coaches, Andy, and listen, you're a Browns fan, so you understand this. It's like, you I mean, the Browns have had it worse than anybody, really, but
Yes, sir.
but it's like, when you guys drafted Johnny Manziel, nobody in the right mind thought that was a good idea, right? You know what I mean? But like, people are acting like we literally had somebody text today that said Jalen Hurts is a one-hit wonder. That he was a 1 year, and it's like the guy went from being the number 2 quarterback in the league to number 8. That's not a one-hit wonder. That's life.
That's still tremendous. You're still a top 10 quarterback. You're a top 8 quarterback in the National Football League. You can win Super Bowls being a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Hello,
Super Bowls by less than that, actually.
Yeah, right. Like that's ridiculous, right? Johnny Manziel was a hack. Now, but here's the thing. I did not want the Browns to draft Johnny Manziel, but guess who, like an idiot, was making the money signs when they drafted him because I wanted it to be good. I wanted it to be fun. Me. Yes. And guess what? It was terrible. It was the worst. And he's an awful human and I can't stand him, but I wanted it to work in Cleveland and it didn't. So
we gotta give Johnny credit that he helped get Reggie Bush's trophy back. So
still, Josh, my biggest successful tweet is now sitting at about 1.3 million impressions of where I blasted Johnny Manziel on Twitter. He challenged me to a fight and then blocked me when I accepted. Fly me down to Texas, Johnny. I'll take one on the nose, and then I'll sue you. Be great.
Yeah. Well, look, you just get the money up front for the fight.
That's true. Hey, did you talk about the Tyson fight got postponed? You see that?
I did see that today. I did not talk about that yet.
Jeez,
I mean, we can get to that a little bit later.
Yeah. I just want to bring it up. Yeah.
Which honestly, I have some thoughts on that. But
okay.
But back to the Eagles stuff. So let me ask you a question. For you, Andy, you're not an Eagles fan. You don't live in Philadelphia, so you're kind of maybe you're a little more objective, right?
I appreciate the Eagles, but not a fan. Yes.
Right. So for you, what do you think this Eagles team is coming into the season? Because I personally think they are an 11-13 win team that is going to win the division. That's what I think.
Right. Well, I've been looking at the Eagles more closely than even usually just being on your show because the Browns do play them this year. And I'm with you. This team should win the division, bottom line. Anything less than winning this division should be considered a massive disappointment for this Eagles club. The Dallas Cowboys are taking a step back. Now, can they beat you on any given Sunday? Absolutely. They still have talent. But this is just reeking of a late season collapse, and Jerry Jones goes nuclear and blows this whole thing up. The Giants are terrible. I know you have Giants listeners. We like to keep it real here on Game Night with Josh Hennig, okay? Giants fans, you stink. We don't have to like it, but it's terrible. The Commanders, I like the pick of Jaden Daniels at quarterback, but that's going to take a little while. Still to be seen. Eagles are the class of this division. Yeah, 11-13, bottom line, you got to be getting that and win this division.
What is the biggest flaw in the NFC East in your mind? Not that the specific team, but for the division.
For the division. Well, if I'm from an entertainment standpoint, I think the quarterback play is limited outside of Jalen Hurts, really. It's the quarterback. And again, Jane Daniels, we don't know. I'm optimistic. I liked him. I personally like him better than Caleb Williams. But we don't know with rookie quarterbacks. You go to the wrong position. You see it all the time. So I think probably the exciting quarterback play coming in that could change. In a snap, if Jane Daniels starts popping, that would be the weakness to me. Weak quarterback play. And then really, I don't know if I'm more just not having a vested interest in the Giants. I don't know why they frustrate me so much, Josh, because there's so little talent and it drives me nuts how just, I don't know if it's the management, the poor drafting, the signings over the last few years. It's just I think the New York Giants are arguably the most boring team in the National Football League. There's nothing exciting going on.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned, we know the Giants aren't a good football team. They're even worse now that Darren Waller came out with a music video. But did you happen to see that, by the way?
No. Oh, gosh.
So
Wow.
for those who didn't hear, he came out with a music video.
Oh no.
And the music video is supposedly, if you suffer through it, about the divorce that him and Kelsey Plum had from his view of Kelsey Plum's perspective of the whole thing. And aside from how he can't sing, by the way, and the whole song
Not surprising.
is auto-tuned, okay, which makes it worse. It's obvious why this guy is divorced. You know what I mean? Like, it's like every person who has ever not cheated on their significant other listens to this song and realizes how stupid this guy is.
Oh my God. Darren Waller. God. Focus on trying to, I guess, catch the football. He's done. He's pretty much toast, right? After this.
Well,
like,
I mean, I thought
decline.
I was watching Mike Golick Jr. this morning on his morning show, and he said that the only way Darren Waller can redeem himself if he goes out there and has, 1,100 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, then people might forgive him.
Yeah, and who's throwing him the ball? It can't happen. That's the problem. Even if he is able to redeem himself, he can't. Daniel Jones.
I asked the question yesterday. I'll ask you here, and the folks can chime in as well. Who didn't hear me ask it earlier this week? 609-403-0973 is the text board. Who is the biggest idiot right now? Is it Darren Waller coming out with a music video that's stupid? Or is it the dumb lady who yelled at Kylie Kelsey because her and her husband wouldn't stop to take a picture with her drunken self?
Oh, it's the dumb selfie lady. dumb selfie lady. She's worse. She's definitely screaming at people who don't owe you anything to do something when you're intoxicated. Yeah, great. Real winner move there. You know what? I have to look at that video.
Well, what's that?
I have to listen to that music video now.
Oh yeah, we'll do it somewhere where people with aren't listening. Like, make sure you're by yourself, okay? So
right.
no one criticizes you for listening to bad music.
Oy.
But the problem with it, by the way, her name is Andrew Goldberg, apparently.
Okay.
Who was the idiot who got in Kylie Kelsey's face. First of all, she's not even a Margate resident. I don't know if you know this, Andy. She's not even from the town, and she says you're not welcome in this town anymore. So it's like you don't even live here, okay? Second of all, she came out with a statement saying how sorry she was, how this was out of character. And I call bunk on that.
Yes.
Because alcohol and other mind-altering substances amplify who you really are.
It brings it out. Yes.
Who you are is revealed when you no longer have inhibition.
That was in that lady. That was in her being. That is a full Karen move. That is ultimate Karen.
Okay. And you know what else I said, Andy? I said, this week, whoever is with that woman should be embarrassed to ever be around that woman, because I would never hang out with somebody who acts like that. And if I did, I would disown them faster than you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Andy, I don't know about you. I have literally over the years, distanced myself from people because I didn't want to be associated with people with poor character. And maybe I spend more time by myself at the bar than the average Joe, but I'd rather do that than hang out with people like that.
Than hang out with fools. Exactly. Yeah. I've done that myself over the years. Yeah. You see someone of a few too many, you're like, I don't know. Maybe you give them the one chance, and if it's like, yeah, and you gotta move on. There's something to be said for sipping a nice bourbon quietly in front of the television, Josh.
Yes.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that.
I want to also talk to you, Andy McNamara, host of the Sick Podcast, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. I wanted to ask you, because I was listening to Andrew Brandt this morning, and Andrew Brandt, former Packers general manager, former agent, now teaches sports law over at Villanova, by the way. So it's basically an hour away from where I'm sitting right now. He teaches. So, but he was talking about how it's amazing to him how a team like the Miami Dolphins can get the Waddle deal done, right? And the Waddle deal financially falls right in between the Eagles, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith deal. Like the number, like right in the middle. Dolphins are literally telling you, we think you're better than Devonta Smith, but you're not as good as A.J. Brown, which is totally fair, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Lions, they get a deal done for Amon-Ra St. Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the Colts earlier this offseason get a deal done for Michael Pittman Jr.
Right.
But still, no deal for Jamar Chase, no deal for T. Higgins, no deal for Justin Jefferson, no deal for CeeDee Lamb. And if you're Brandon Ayuk, you're like, how does Jawan Jennings get a deal done before me? And
I saw that. And that seemed like a lot of money for Jawan Jennings. I'm sorry. Like,
so
that's like a fifth wide receiver.
Right. So Andrew Brand was asking the question, how do these organizations let other organizations make them look bad? You know what I mean?
It takes the price. It's similar to when you have your rookie quarterback deal, right? If you don't sign your guy at that moment, would be the largest contract in NFL history. Every quarterback deal, Josh, is the largest contract in NFL history. But if you don't sign your rookie or on your rookie deal, your QB first, you're going to be paying more than that all-time record, and you all have the all-time. So I think it's a similar situation with wide receivers. It's like, if you're not proactive and you don't have your bleep in a row and your salary cap figured out, then, well, you're going to be paying more, or you're going to have to do a trade or move on from that player. I have a theory for it. I was thinking about this today. And I'll explain what I mean as far as not as a apples to apples necessarily. But could we be seeing the star wide receiver position in the NFL be going the way of the running back? By which I mean, running backs, we know you can get in the third, fourth round, depending on scheme, and you can be a star. You don't have to draft guys in the first round anymore.
Right.
My comparison to the wide receiver part is there are so many talented first and second round receivers every year. They just keep pouring out. The talent pool every year is the best wide receiver class ever. Are we getting to a situation where you don't necessarily have to spend all your money on your wide receiver once his first contract's done, because you can be drafting a guy the year before and the year after that? If you have this funnel of superstar receivers, do you have to spend top dollar on that position group?
My answer to that is, I hear what you're saying, but I don't fully agree, because I don't think wide receiver is as replaceable as running back for this one reason. I've seen too many good quarterbacks be ruined by receivers who can't catch. And, you know, we were talking about earlier today about how you go back to Carson Wentz, 2016, 2019, Eagles were top 5 of the NFL in drop passes. Okay. And so you look at some of these quarterbacks and you got to wonder, like Lamar Jackson, what if he had better receivers? Right? You know, like
they've given him enough. I put that on Lamar. They've given him enough. They had enough talent out of there.
But
and
did they?
Flowers is I think they had good enough. I just don't think, and this isn't me just hating, I just don't think Lamar Jackson is as good of a passer of the football as some people want him to be. I don't blame the receivers. They kept giving him guys, and it wasn't working.
But who are they giving him?
I think you had Bateman. You had
Bateman's been injured.
Bateman's been injured, but I'd have to go.
They gave him Odell Beckham Jr. He got injured for the 20th time.
And Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't been relevant since Obama was president. Let's be real.
That's true.
That's true. That's a fact. That's a fact. Sadly, right?
It's crazy that it was that long ago.
I know it's true. Now I would have to go back and look at the receivers, but I know in my thinking and research and shows in the past, he's had enough guys where it should have been okay, and it wasn't. But to your point, yeah, if you have guys with stone hands who can't catch the ball, that's going to be a problem. My comparison was, if, like, I'm talking like the superstar. Now, Justin Jefferson, I love Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all that. But if you're an organization and let's say you have, let's say even a T. Higgins, really, really good, but not like generational. I would put Justin Jefferson like generational. You put a guy at that level, and maybe again you're like, all right, I think if I trust my draft board, if I trust my scouts, I can find the next T. Higgins at that cheap rookie contract, and I don't have to pay him. And I can you go 1 year before T. Higgins contract, you draft the guy, and you keep kind of doing that. And that's where you can save. And I just wonder having seen these star players still out there and not signed, if that could be a pattern with, again, Josh, like it's undeniable. The amount of
bad pattern.
For the player it is. Oh yeah.
But also for the team. Like if you're the Vikings, you're not replacing Justin Jefferson.
Oh no. And I think
you're not replacing, Jamar Chase. I mean, come on.
But you can replace T. Higgins.
Well, you could, but you already let Ty Boyd walk.
And that comes down to the front office and the management, right? Like, who are you drafting properly, and are those guys paying up? That's always the risk too. You can think you're drafting a stud, the guy doesn't work out, right?
But
so,
it's like, let me interrupt. You can't tell me that it's only the Eagles and the Lions who know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell me that every GM in the league is just like walking around with a dunce cap on their head,
right,
not knowing what they're doing.
Well, you know what I think is going to be very interesting to watch.
You can say that about Jerry Jones, but maybe not all of them. You know?
Right, yeah. With Uncle Jerry. I think what's going to be interesting to watch is the Jerry Jeudy deal. And people criticize Andrew Berry of the Browns for trading for him and then signing him to a 3-year extension and giving him, I think it was 52 and a chunk million for very fairly an unproven commodity who's been inconsistent, has his up and down, still lots of talent. Remember, he was drafted in that same year as CeeDee Lamb, and he was like the 1A to CeeDee Lamb in that draft. So Andrew Berry got that Jeudy deal done, and now that's looking like a bargain if Jerry Jeudy pays off. So to your point, it's like, all right, why are you letting other teams dictate? Because if Andrew Berry didn't do that, then it's like, okay, well, if Jeudy has a good year, you're going to be paying at the top level of whatever these guys go. Now, he has a great year. You got him locked in.
By the way, it's so the 3-year, $52 million, as you said, but it's only 41 guaranteed.
Yeah.
So that's the bigger number, is the guaranteed number.
That's as we know in the NFL. Yeah, I love when you hear people like, "Oh, it's a $300 million." How much is guaranteed? That's the contract, because otherwise it will just be wiped out.
Right. Like, for example, you look at that 41 million guaranteed for 3 years. That's not really that bad.
Exactly. Right. And it's good money, but it saves you for the Browns. It gives a bit of a saving grace there. And if it's good, then you renegotiate it.
Don't you think T. Higgins is worth at least that?
Absolutely. I do. I love T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins could be a number one.
Just say, right. So why haven't the Browns just turned to T. Higgins to be like, do you want the Jerry Jeudy contract? They haven't offered him anything, Andy.
From my understanding, Andrew Berry has been locked in and trying to get Jerry Jeudy since he heard the name Jerry Jeudy in college. Like, he tried to draft him. He tried to trade for him last year. Like, he has wanted, that is his toy. He has wanted Jerry Jeudy forever. So I think he was so locked in. It didn't matter what your name was. If it wasn't Jerry Jeudy, you weren't coming. But yeah, like, T. Higgins is a heck of a wide receiver. Now, he's not as good as Jamar Chase.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't still be at least a high-end number 2 or a number 1 on some team. Like, good. Let's talk about the Giants. You only T. Higgins could be a number 1 on the Giants. I hope he doesn't go there. I hope he doesn't go there for his sake.
For his sake, yeah.
But you could put T. Higgins in everywhere. But again, that brings me back to, okay, you have this guy, you're going to pay him. Did you just draft a young receiver? Do you have somebody else? Like, it's those guys who are still number 1s, but not at that upper echelon, not at the Jefferson, not at the Jamar Chase level. That's where I think you might get that bit of a squeeze when it comes down to those future draft possibilities. It'll be interesting to follow nonetheless.
All right, before I let you go, I said I would save my Mike Tyson, Jake Paul theory for the end, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if anybody saw the goofy press conferences with Tyson and Jake Paul. Tyson multiple times called Jake Paul fat. I think that this fight was purposely postponed.
Oh.
Because I think Paul is out of shape, and I don't think he was going to be able to cut weight down enough, fast enough to get in shape for the Tyson is way better shape right now.
Oh, yeah.
Than Jake Paul is. Like,
isn't that too bad for Jake Paul? Go beat his ass, Mike. Come on.
Well, so I can't say who they are, but I've had multiple sources tell me that to not bet the Tyson Jake Paul fight. That the fight is not that it's staged, but that there's some reasons why this fight is being held in Texas and not a more reputable state.
So, and you know what? That was my fear from the fight from the beginning. More so, I think I hear what you're saying. Not an exhibition,
correct,
but kind of essentially, hey, Mike, don't knock him out in the first round. Let's try to go a few.
Right.
Keep it, which is disappointing because I would just love to see straight up 58-year-old when that fight was going to happen, Mike Tyson. If you unleash him, what does it look like? What does it look like? Like for real, what does that look like? Does he gas out? Does he get is he not as strong as he was? Because I've loved the interviews where like, if this is showmanship on Mike Tyson's part, bravo, because I'm bought in. He is in tears saying he hates the person he becomes when he fights. He's crying. He doesn't want to let that person out. It's so like wrestling or like storyline, Josh, right? It's like, I'm just so bought in. I'm like, I want to see that. I don't want to see him
WWE Hall of Famer, isn't he?
He is. Yes. Actually, quick funny story. Back when did Buster Douglas beat him? 1990? 91?
91, one of those years. Yeah.
So I'm in Toronto. Maple Leaf Gardens had all the WWE matches, WWF at the time. So we were going, and Mike Tyson was going to be special guest referee, Hulk Hogan versus Macho. Buster Douglas beats Tyson. We go, and I see Buster freaking Douglas instead of Mike Tyson. They paid Buster Douglas like half the money. He was thrilled to get it. He was the special guest referee. Knocked out Macho in the Garden.
1990, by the way.
It was 1990. Yep. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, but so my theory is that Tyson has a convenient ulcer. They're saying he developed an ulcer. Okay.
Right.
And that it's not, medically recommended for you to be fighting with an ulcer.
Makes sense.
But it's
at 58.
But it's a convenient ulcer because apparently Jake Paul is very fluffy right now.
So is the thought that he just wouldn't look good, or he would just gas out? He just couldn't take the cardio of a fight that they would want to have go longer for people to see.
The latter.
That's the idea?
I think it's the latter. I think that I think Jake Paul saw Mike Tyson's training videos and then saw him in person and realized
I'm an idiot.
No, because I don't think Jake Paul cares if he loses. I really don't. I think Jake Paul is at a point right now where he realizes, win or lose, I'm going to make money off this no matter what.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
I don't think he cares if he loses, but I think as you said, Andy, they want this fight to be more than a round. They want this to go like 4 or 5 rounds, and then if Tyson, breaks his head off, then they don't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because number one, people will get their money's worth. They'll feel like they actually paid for something.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, Netflix gets more minutes out of it. Because remember, Netflix, this is not the Zone, ESPN Plus. This is a Netflix special presentation. And what are all the streaming platforms built on? Number of minutes watched. It's not total viewers. It's not total subscribers. Nobody cares about those numbers anymore. It's total minutes watched. They want to make sure that event gets the maximum number of minutes watched so they can turn to advertisers moving forward and being like, hey, man, this was the most watched thing in 2024. We got the next one.
We got and it's really their first big live sporting event as well.
And remember what the second one is.
Is it the Christmas Day for the NFL? Yeah. So I totally, it disappoints me.
Stage, Andy, we're setting the stage.
See, it just replaces cable, right? It'll just be like, oh, streaming, and then you just pay more for streaming, you pay the same thing in the end. Doesn't matter. Well, I'll be on it. It's terrible.
I cut the cord a few months ago, and I've been so hesitant to sign up for anything new because they usually do those deals where they get you to sign up for like X number a month. All of a sudden, all the deals went away. So I'm just like, I will spend less money going out to the local establishment to watch a game than I will for my own.
Oh, I was going to say, how do you do the sports? Is it like app or you go out or because there's you kind of, I hate watching stuff on the phone. You can
call getting creative. It's called getting creative.
I hear you. Yes. Yeah. Everything's on the streaming side. Everything it's just going to be like, who with Prime doing so well on the NFL side, everybody wants a taste of it. And that makes a lot of sense what you're saying with the Netflix stuff, which is disappointing to hear you say, but I totally believe it. I just want to see Mike Tyson. Well, I remember Mike Tyson knocking guys out in the first round and him beating guys by looking at them.
Right.
I want to see him if he still has it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
I'm going to eat your children. You know?
Oh, yeah. But the tears of him like on shows like crying, he doesn't like who he becomes. It's so wild. And I don't think he's that good of an actor to pull it off. Like, I think that's true.
He's not a good actor.
Right? I think it's true. Just like the Eagles are going to walk through the NFC East and they're going to eat all of them this year.
And that's the sound of a professional bringing a segment full circle. Andy McNamara at Andy MC81, the Sick Podcast. What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, well, up now, guys, if you are a wrestling fan or a fan of fitness, but mainly a wrestling fan, and talk a bit of football, I had Diamond Dallas Page, the Diamond Cutter Master, on the show. Phenomenal. I've interviewed him a few times over the years. I love DDP. The reason I'm doing it, he's coming up to Guelph, which is if you're near the Canadian border, you're going to hop on up June 8th. I'm going to be going down there with him and his wife. But so we were talking about that, but he was going over all the stuff athletes he's worked with and talking about his wrestling days and working with Butterbean, talking about boxers, saving Butterbean's life.
Right.
And all that. It is worth a watch and listen. We go into a whole bunch of different areas, but my interview with Diamond Dallas Page at SickPod Browns on X, at Andy MC81, it's pinned up there. And on YouTube, you type in Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, Instagram, Andy MC Sports. It's there too. Check it out. It's worth the watch.
I think we just need to get back to you coming on every week because we barely get to enough topics.
I know. Hey, I'll do it, buddy. Whenever you need.
I'll text you. All right.
Okay. All right.
I don't have people to call your people, so I'll just text you myself.
We're not important enough to have people for people. We just straight to the man.
I am the man.
I am the man, brother.
Talk to you later.
All right. See you, bud. Bye.
Josh Hennick here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN. Text board coming in next. I got a bunch of texts to get to here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
Saturday morning in the locker with Billy Schwein, producer Nick Earnshaw, and Mike Carlin join me in the studio. The Phillies welcome in the Cardinals for 3 games, and we will recap Friday night's action. Hour 2, the sportsbook consigliere Dave Sherpan checks in from Las Vegas with his thoughts on the NBA and NHL playoffs. Then it's another edition of the Beach Patrol Report with Jack Brooks, brought to you by McCann Realtors of Seattle City and the Ocean City Beach Patrol Alumni Association. This week, we'll hear from the chief of the Ocean City Beach Patrol, Eric Becker. It's the locker with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
It's the 3rd month of Matt Blatt Kia's 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 6/2/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Summer starts now with Memorial Day appliance savings at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off. Plus, save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances from brands like KitchenAid. And right now, you can double your savings when you spend $2,500 or more. Shop in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Offer valid through 6/5. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Biana's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Memorial Day sale and get 30% off paints and stains from May 24th through June 3rd. With prices starting at $34.29, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Tom P., host of Rack and Fin Radio, inviting you to join me every Saturday morning at 7 here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Each week, we discuss the hot topics affecting the sportsmen and sportswomen in New Jersey. Hunting, fishing, boating, conservation, and Second Amendment topics are some of the issues that are covered in depth.
Rack and Fin Radio is brought to you by Utch's Marina.
That's Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P., every Saturday morning at 7 on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, we got a rapid fire before we get out of here. Went to break way too late with Andy. Andrew from Summers Point says the Phillies need to teach Sosa the outfield, so when Turner comes back, put Sosa out there. I would say actually you could put Sosa in the outfield because Sosa has played over 50 games in the outfield. It keeps Sosa at shortstop. George at Summers Point says, great point about the Phillies' inability to hit during 2010 and 2011. Seems harder to sustain strong hitting for a team than to sustain strong pitching. Yeah, I just can't see a scenario where the Phillies, as currently constructed, are always going to hit every single day. They're just not. Giants fan, didn't leave a name, says, is it really that crazy to believe that Daniel Jones has a 2022 type season? The Giants could be a fringe wildcard team? Well, it is kind of crazy because he didn't really even have that great of a year in 2022. He had a solid year. I'm Josh Hennick. Have a great, everybody.
Drive the very best at BMW of Atlantic City. Upgrade your drive.
If you are still watching on YouTube, at Josh Hennig on YouTube, I just wanted to come on here with a real quick thought. on one of the news items from today in sports, because I saw this come up on my feed, and I knew I wouldn't have time to get to it on the regular show, so I want to hit on it here. So, one of the biggest stars in all of sports right now is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, they're selling out arenas with her. They're having record ratings for the WNBA. She's the biggest star in WNBA. She's finally playing better. She's back to hitting threes from 30 feet away, and she's scoring 30 points a game now. And she's playing great. She's playing like Caitlin Clark. But they have a problem right now. And the problem is that she is now being called for 3 technical fouls. If she is called for any more technical fouls in the next 31 games, she gets 3 more techs on top of her current 3, she will get suspended. See, the WNBA rule has this specific rule in place for a reason. And the rule is that you basically have to be a good basketball playing citizen on the court, or you could get suspended. And in theory, it's a great practice, because what you're doing is you're saying there are consequences for bad behavior. And so I understand the rule, why it was put in place. And let's be realistic. It doesn't matter if it's men or women. You want people to know there are consequences for bad actions, or they are just going to have bad behavior. But the reason why I bring it up is the WNBA seems to have a problem right now. And that is, there are a lot of women. I want to say a lot, maybe the last time, but there are enough women in the WNBA who don't like Caitlin Clark and the attention she's getting enough that they are basically making it an issue with her. They are getting in her face. They are going out of their way to be confrontational with her. And what's happening is Caitlin Clark is not a wimp. She's a competitor. She's just scared of these women and their bad attitudes. Like the game last night, when after Clark makes that basket, she does a little trash talk, does a little chirping, just a normal competitive stuff. And the lady, I forget her name, from the Seattle Storm, the WNBA team, bumps her and tries to get in a fight with her. Now, Clark doesn't retaliate, but the official gives both women a technical foul, penalizes both of them, because the official believed that Clark antagonized the Seattle Storm players. And the Seattle Storm were in trouble because they reacted to being antagonized. And this is going to be a problem. And the WNBA needs to get ahead of this, or the best player in the sport is going to be missing a game or two, because, one, the other women in the league are not keeping their heads on straight, and 2, the officials in the league are mishandling the situation. And so there's 2 different issues that have to be handled by Kathy Engelbert, who's the commissioner of WNBA, and the rest of the league. Number 1, someone's got to sit down the other women in the WNBA and tell them to get over themselves. They got to get over the fact that this young, gifted, talented, brash, hyper-competitive young woman is allowed to be in their league, be successful, and be beloved. And they got to get over the fact that she's white. Some of these women think the only reason why Caitlin Clark is popular is because she's white, and it's the dumbest thing in the world. Because if that was the case, there's a whole laundry list of white women's basketball players who should be more popular. Kelsey Plum, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, I can go on. In fact, the most popular white woman's player in recent years was Elena Deladon, and she's not even playing this year. In recent years, the most popular women in the WNBA have been Skylar Diggins-Smith. It's been Brittany Griner, for better or for worse. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. But it's been Jonquel Jones. It's been Deanna Bonner. You know, it's all these other, Amaya Moore. It's Candace Parker. It's Asia Wilson. It's not white women. So these women, what they are is they're jealous of Caitlin Clark. They look at her getting all this attention, all this popularity, and instead of seeing it as a rising tide raises all boats, that she is bringing a new level of attention and opportunity to all the women, they got to get over themselves. See, these women never watched golf back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Because if they did, they would understand what I'm about to say. And this is where Kathy Engelbert and the other executives in the league need to basically have a conference call with every player on every team that's not the Indiana Fever and say, you women don't understand how this works. And how this works is that Tiger Woods, when he became a megastar in the late 90s, he didn't look like the other golfers. He didn't act like the other golfers. He didn't present himself like the other golfers. And it wasn't just because he was black. Tiger Woods became a megastar because it was for the first time an entire generations of people watching a golf match finally saw somebody who they could identify with. Men across America identified more with Tiger Woods than with almost any other golfer playing on the PGA Tour, because Tiger Woods would get mad when he'd have a bad shot. Tiger Woods would cuss at himself if he missed a putt. Tiger Woods was ultra competitive. Tiger Woods looked and acted like the professional athletes from other sports. He didn't act like a schmucky elitist. He acted like a competitor. And the attention that was drawn to the sport by Tiger Woods, it ballooned the prize purses of every event. Advertisers kept swarming in. And the reason why these golfers can make tens of millions of dollars today is because Tiger Woods elevated the sport from being a very small niche sport. I mean, in the 90s, tennis was bigger than golf before Tiger Woods came along. People don't know, who weren't alive for this stuff. In the 80s and 90s, tennis was massive. Tennis was a way bigger sport in popularity and attention than golf was. But Tiger Woods opened the floodgates for all this attention and all this money. And Caitlin Clark's doing the same thing for the WNBA. And these women got to stop being a bunch of miserable little you-know-whats and understand that this is how business works. I'm sorry that they didn't see you before. I'm sorry that they didn't care about you before. But guess what? It is what it is. You got to ride the wave. Stop being angry that Caitlin Clark is who she is and embrace it, own it. Let little that stardust rub off on you so maybe you can grow. And the other part is, they said, the referees. The league gets to sit the referees down and say, you got to stop penalizing Caitlin Clark for being Caitlin Clark. Never, if you ever watched a game with Michael Jordan, did they, punish Jordan for trash talking. You never saw in the NBA playoffs this year, Luka Doncic or Anthony Edwards or any of those guys get in trouble for trash talking. I mean, Luka Doncic literally was screaming at Rudy Gobert after the one game-winning shot that, you can't bleep and guard me. You bleepity bleep. If he's cussing up a storm in English and in Lithuanian. Anthony Edwards, he's telling Kevin Durant that, the game has passed him by and that he owns him. I own you now, right? You had Luka Doncic trash talking with Timberwolves fans in the stands. None of those instances were those guys getting in trouble. There were no technicals, no penalties, no punishment for those guys in any sort of situation. But Caitlin Clark, she does a little trash talking. Oh, you're in trouble for that. You're going to get a technical foul. Oh, that's not how a young lady acts. I mean, the double standard is ridiculous. These referees got to get over themselves. In all sports, by the way. So to me, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the WNBA is going to run into a huge problem, and if it's not addressed sooner than later, then Caitlin Clark's going to be suspended for a game, and the whole world is going to be like, what on earth is going on here? All right, at Josh Hennig over on the Twitter X platform. I will be back on Monday here on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig for Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. I hope everyone has a great night. I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. If you are watching this YouTube video live, I want to let you know the Phillies are winning. If you're watching it on delay, thank you for watching. However you are consuming, like, subscribe, share with your friends. You know, the more people that consume this channel, the more that I can grow it. So I genuinely do ask that if you are one of my subscribers, that you hit the like, you share it with people, and you tell people, look, you know, if this is content that you like and that you appreciate, you know, I am not like all the other people out there. I'm not all about the hot takes. I'm not all about, you know, being emotionally led on the microphone. You know, I am a blend of old and new school when it comes to media. And so if you appreciate what we do, we hope to grow at some point, but we can't grow it without your support. So thank you to all who watch. Thank you to all who hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the share button. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll catch you next time. Josh Hennig signing off.